Sometimes in history, there's this magic moment. Somebody appears on the scene and everything changes.
I am with you.
We've never seen anything like this.
I will fight for you.
This was a man who's met his destiny.
And I will win for you.
He said he was saved by God in order to make America great again.
His victory was the greatest comeback of all time.
We're watching history, so buckle up.
I don't think the American people have ever seen this before. A government that has moved this quickly and a president that has done so much when it comes to the border and energy and major investments from other countries. It's like warp speed.
47's on a hot streak, bringing head-snapping change to Washington, overwhelming the system with a volcanic eruption of action. Trump has a mandate from the people, and he's using it, and they're just getting started.
President Trump said on the campaign trail, success will be my retribution.
Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free.
We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do what I'm doing.
America's back. Common sense is back. He is keeping his promise to you, the American people.
Inflation is down, growth is up.
The numbers don't lie. The economy is soaring.
Lowest gas prices in 4 years.
And record tariff revenue.
The USA is on a roll, culminating in the signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill on July 4th.
The Trump economic golden age is full steam ahead.
America is back, thanks to the courage of President Trump, thanks to the leadership of his amazing cabinet, and thanks, of course, to our brave men and women in the United States military.
This is a message to the rest of the world. The days of ripping off America and Americans are officially over.
Between the attacks on Iran's nuke site and the Maduro operation, the U.S. military recruitment at an all-time high.
This president will go down in history as a peacemaking president.
Peace through strength. America's in charge.
And he's just got one filter, and that is America first.
Whatever they're doing, it's working. Zero illegal crossing, drug cartels frustrated, less crimes.
We have the most secure border in the history of this nation. If you think we're doing good now, you just wait till this coming year.
The president isn't taking his foot off the gas in 2026.
It's a new year. The stock markets are already making new record highs.
The Trump archive are a series of near impossible feats.
As for the next year, the American people have so much to look forward to. The president will continue to build off of his historic accomplishments.
2025 is setting the table, but the banquet's going to be in 2026.
This is the golden age coming.
He says, make America great again because every American is invited.
My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future because the golden age of America has only just begun.
What happening, fools? Let me see here. Now that I know that's up and running. You guys hear me? Everything 5x5. Well, you can't really play Whitney Houston because you'll get a copyright strike. And as you can see, I got some of the shirts. They're scrolling. We're adding more shirts to the new platform. So those jokers will be scrolling as we get them added. It's kind of a neat little thing that they worked on today for me. Because I had oh my God. You know how you have those days that you wake up and you're like, son of a Trisket. Everything that could go wrong kind of half-ass went wrong. Yeah, I'll tell you some of these stories from today. This is an absolute train wreck. So, looks like we have an immediate resignation of Secretary of Navy John C. Fallon, and he's going to be replaced by Hung Kao, as he was the undersecretary, so now he'll be becoming the acting Secretary of Navy. So, after I got done with this VA appointment this morning, which was an absolute train wreck, but I talked with Big Chair I texted him. He couldn't really talk. If you don't have any sound, you should. Yeah, you should have sound. Let me know if you don't. Doom, 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 doom. Dun 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 dun. Okay, all right, Paul. Fake news, Paul. Fake news. Just joking. So I get done with this VA appointment. First thing, so where I went today was about 40 minutes away. Well, it is a brand new facility. So it was showing up on my car navigation, but it wasn't. So I go to where it was directing me to go, and I get there and it's like rerouting. I'm like, what fucking mean reroute? And it was just an outpatient clinic. So I was like, oh, this isn't the right place. So it finally redirected. It was about 10 minutes away from that. So get there, pull into the parking lot, and I'm about 2 minutes from my appointment time. And there was this guy that we had parked beside. Well, he was having problems getting his car started, so jumped him. And this is where it all begins. So got him jumped, and Go in, sit down, probably about 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20. And the doc comes out, calls me, so I go back, and he goes, well, we're going to do an ultrasound on your liver. Your regular doctor said the second set of blood tests come back good, but he still wants to do the ultrasound. I'm like, okay, I was told by Nurse Cratchit that they still wanted to do it and to make sure that I showed up. And so go in, and I have a problem laying flat on my back because of the nerve damage and the injuries. So I'm there and I'm like, oh my God, is this nightmare going to end? And so they have me roll over to my left, and they do all that. Well, all that pressure just flared everything up. So get done doing that and get in the car and tell Mom, well, let's go. We'll go eat breakfast. So start heading out. Get on the interstate. Fucking hood flies up on the damn car. Not very much, but it flies up. And I'm like, looking at my dashboard, and all of a sudden, the hood thing pops, starts flashing. I'm like, I know this damn thing's sealed. So, pull over, get out, and shut the hood. Make sure it's secure. Pops right back open. I'm like, what the fuck? So, I'm sitting here messing with this damn thing, and I think it's got like 18,000 miles on it, on this vehicle. Keep messing with it. Nothing. Won't latch. So I get on the control panel screen thing in the car, try to find a dealership. 38 miles away. I'm like, I'm not driving 38 miles with this damn thing. Flashers on, people flipping me off. So I call the dealership, telling them what's going on. And they're trying to walk me through some shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not having this. I'm already getting pissed off. Because, for the record, I'm not strongly mechanically inclined, we'll say. So, when I was growing up, my grandfather always told me I wasn't allowed touching tools. At 9 years old, I was basically doing his books for his business, but I wasn't allowed touching tools. That was for my other brothers. And so I look, and I'm looking on the GPS on the screen, and I'm like, man, and then all of a sudden it just hit me. I was like, man, where the fuck is there an AutoZone? These little fuckers, they know everything. And if not, they can find out real quick. So I typed it into the navigation. It was like 3 miles. I'm like, all right, bonus. So I put on the hazards and drive down, no problem. Pull into AutoZone, no problem. And go in there, and this kid comes out from the back, and I said, hey, I got a dumb question for you. It's probably something simple, but I'm dumber as a box of rocks when it comes to this stuff. I said, come and help somebody jump their car. My latch for my hood isn't working right. And I can't get the damn thing reset. And he said, well, what kind of car is that? I said, it's an Aston Martin. He goes, okay. He goes, let's go out and look at it. So go out, pop the hood all the way open, and you could see where, it's not connecting. So he goes, all right, can you go in and push your hood button or whatever it is all the way back? So I do that, hear the mechanics that flies it back. Boom, poof it by magic. So I go up there just to make sure not his competence, but mine. And so I said, hold on 1 second, go back to the car and get some money out of my wallet. And I said, here, you got lunches on me, because this saved me a lot of money. I'd have had to fucking have this thing towed to a dealership, and my day was already tanked. And so, really super nice kid. So now on this vehicle, even though the hood is sealed, it tells me on the dashboard that, or on the computer screen, that the hood isn't correctly latched, and now the engine light comes on. So I think I have to, I got to go in. It's probably something that they have to hook up one of those machines into the computer or the car to reset everything. So that's how my fucking day started. And so then we go to Waffle House. It's the first time I've been there in years. Go there, order food, go to pay for it, put in my debit card, denied. Like, what? I was like, well, let's try this again. Put it in, denied. So I left my phone in the car, so I go, my mom's like, well, here, just use mine. So I put it in, denied. I'm like, what the fuck? So now I'm thinking it's their POS. So I said, hold on, let me go out to my car. I said, do you need my driver's license? I'm not going to bail on you. They laughed. They're like, no. So go out to the car, get my phone, log into, I think I was using my USAA account, not my Navy Federal. Log in. Said account's fine. And then like 2 seconds later, it says account locked. Well, I didn't realize that, if, I did know that they do this, but never dawned on me. If you have any weird charges that come through, weird cities that you don't really travel to, they automatically block the card, and then you have to either call them or log into the app to unlock the card, and then they do all this 6-digit PIN bullshit, biometrics. So anyways, got that paid for. So we get home, and I'm wore the fuck out. Anytime like they draw blood, do any of these tests, it flares everything up. So I just put on this Darth Vader mask thing I have to use, and got a few hours sleep, and then Hot Mess Houlihan come in and woke me up because her boyfriend was outside. She heard him yipping and go outside, and then she got scared because he got a haircut today and it didn't look like him. So, she had to go up and sniff and make sure it was him. So that's how my day went. And then after I laid down for a few hours, started working on some other stuff. And then I started getting text messages out the yang from guys that, work within the government that are asking me, hey, have you heard anything about this? Have you heard anything about this? We hear Tulsi Gabbard's on the chopping block again. And then right before I went live, I got a text that the Secretary of the Navy just stepped down immediately. They're bringing in this new guy. And then I had a phone conversation with another guy most of you guys know. I don't want to dox him or anything. And we were talking, and I said, I'm going to ask this question next time I text Big Chair. we know that administrations, people get burned out. And, people step down. They get in there with the best intentions, and they found out it's not what it is. They don't do the Potomac two-step. So they... now I know why it's so warm in here. Open up the window and let some fresh air get in. I was going to jack this joker down to about 40, but I said I know this happens all the time, but put my "you're a crazy whack job" hat on, I'm beginning to think, and I sent a text to Big Chair to see if he could say anything without saying anything. Because we had 2 more congressional members step down. I know the one was public. He told me the other one hasn't been released yet. And that could be. I think Big Chair told me that did shake some of the cabinet members. And he had asked privately the president for more funding because he wanted to call up some outside law enforcement agencies and basically have the marshals deputize them. That way, get people from out. I mean, like I said, Big Chair's a smart fucker. You get people that aren't from within inside the Beltway. My channel hates you. Well, I did a schedule. Normally I do it like, I get these impromptu, oh shit, maybe I should do this. And when I get bored, because I have to do 80 different things at once. But I think that's a reoccurring theme with YouTube. But he wanted some outside people. There are a core group of guys within a couple of these agencies that he trusts hands down. Well, that's what we'll talk about here shortly, Raymond. I'm leading up to this because that is something very, very, very interesting. Because I did hear some of that rumbling going on. That's what all these text messages this morning and this afternoon, and I didn't feel up to answering any of them until about an hour ago, and then some other developments started to come about, especially with this Secretary of Navy, and this kind of is driving home some of my points, and I don't think a lot of people, the quote-unquote big streamers who kind of follow this stuff, but they've never been involved in it, so they really don't know how possibly this process, what's actually happened. Because remember, you had this national security briefing. There was 2 of them. I was told there was one with the direct National Security Council, and then there was one with the cabinet officials. And some of those people overlap. So I had posed the question, are these resignations and are these people stepping down just part of the normal process? or is there something else at play? And his response to me goes, I would bet the house something else is at play. Figure it out. That was his response. So, you have all these stories, right? They're coming out, Kash Patel's drinking on the job. Pete Hegseth is, having stripper poles in the Pentagon. I mean, just outlandish bullshit. Now you have 2 congressmen who have stepped down today from Congress. One's been publicly announced. The other one hasn't yet. And I was told one of the ones that a lot of spotlight is being put on, that Treasury did a seizure notice on one of their main properties. And I got this kick is something else. You get more damn spam in this kick than anything else. So here's what I believe. Coming from a national security perspective and an intelligence perspective, we're starting to hear rumblings of it's about ready to pick up. Kash Patel has already said very, very quickly, you're going to start seeing arrests in 2020, over the 2020. So, I believe, and I believe this happened with Pam Bondi as well, the military has went to their commander-in-chief based on the plans that they have of continuity of government. And in order for COG and for the military to do things, they do things in phases. And these phases are compartmentalized. So you have like phase 1, okay? And you have a group of people within the administration working on phase 1. And then you move to phase 2, phase 3, whatever. And I believe what is happening is some of these top-level cabinet officials are being asked or instructed, and I think it's more instructed with the blessing of the commander-in-chief, to resign and to step down. Not because they've done anything illegal or they're being investigated, but I believe they are doing it to keep stuff compartmentalized. So A doesn't know what B's doing, B doesn't know what C's doing, okay? Because even though everybody has that person that you believe that no matter what you tell somebody, they'll keep it secret, right? It happens in the intelligence community as well. And then that person has somebody that they confide in that they believe will hold a secret. And it goes down the line and eventually this gets out. Well, and the military knows that. The intelligence community knows that. And so in order to stop that cycle, the military is having people step down. Or, they're stepping down and they're moving to another phase or another part of continuity of government that they know nothing about. They've never been briefed on. That's honestly what I believe. Or it could just be as simple as, like I said, every administration does this. Every administration goes through this. But with congressional members stepping down, you got CEOs, I think it was Cook, stepped down either yesterday or today from Apple. I was told there was another big CEO that's about ready to step down. And you'll have the naysayers and the critics. All this happens all the time. You are correct. This does happen all the time. But not in this fashion and not in all of these angles at once. And I just go back to the speech Chris Miller gave when, he said this is the most complex psychological operation that has ever happened in history. And he was talking of it in the present, but I believe it's in the future, because if you believe in that letter in the alphabet, doing shit in reverse. Present proves past, past proves present. And if anybody's ever read that letter in the alphabet, start at the very last post and go backwards. And I think you'll start to see some of the stuff that I'm talking about. And I know a lot of it's cryptic in there, and it's meant to be cryptic. But there was, I seen Devin Nunes is stepping down. And I was told this morning, I don't believe that somebody within DOJ, that they don't think they're tapping Todd Blanche as the AG. They're going to an outsider, and I think that's probably at the request of Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, just because of the phase that I believe is about ready to take place. And then about 3 hours ago, NightWatch was up, which is the doomsday plane that everybody panics every time this plane goes up. You have some channels that every time that plane goes up, it's a big panic. They have to get flight hours in. Doomsday, there's always a plane up. When you need to worry is when you don't see them transmitting. When you don't see them up. That's when you need to fucking worry. Or when they start sending them overseas. That's when you really need to worry. And I believe I haven't really dug through anything. J.D. Vance didn't go to Iran, did he? And the deadline expires here, I think, in a few hours. And I'll wait to see because if he didn't go, I have my working theory on why he didn't go. All right. Yeah, so my working theory, because like I said, I don't think they went over there. JD didn't anyways. And I was told, well, yeah, he extended it, allegedly. But I think this is all misdirection. I really do. I think that a lot of this is being put out for IRNN. I believe that a lot of this is being put out so Dernza, which is the director of the National Security Agency, can get assets listing on. Because look, we've taken out pretty much their whole entire leadership. So we have to now build. NSA has to build matrices along with the CIA, along with NRO, along with NIS. I don't want to get into that out of popcorn. But maybe once I get done with the whole Vance thing, you'll start to understand. So, I am still in the belief that that Aleutian flight that was in front of Air Force 2 and SAM 95 that had either enriched uranium or it had a fuck ton of computer equipment. And that computer equipment was used by the Iranians as part of a compensation deal where Obama sent all that money to have their cyber intelligence of the IRGC do some shaky stuff. So, I don't think they want him in the region because from what I'm led to understand is there was some assets inside of Iran that were caught by the IRGC who were helping us. And now, too, you guys are, and I think the news media is starting to break it. When I told you guys on the initial, when we seized a vessel, well, it's multiple vessels, and I believe the news media is starting to cover it, that MARSOC and SEAL Team 1 are just, they're doing more shipboardings than Pirate Pete. And they are making sure that stuff isn't being hauled out of Iran and going to other countries to be part of a proxy group. And there is video that the Fifth Fleet, I haven't seen it yet, but there's video that the Fifth Fleet MARSOC Command has recorded, and they're starting to release some of these videos. And if you look at the ships, kind of look alike, but you gotta look at the hull numbers. And they're different vessels. And one vessel, the IRGC, tried to take over. Well, they now completely understand the abilities of MARSOC because they didn't leave alive. So I believe that's what's going on within the administration, and I believe that the planners of COG are, because I've said this since supposedly Trump lost, and we started seeing all this abnormal military activity. And, you know, I put a video up a while ago, I think it was on Rumble, where on the evening of J6 when Trump's come out and said, you must go home peacefully. If you listen to that speech and then go through the requirements of the Insurrection Act, he checked all the boxes. Now, whether he did or didn't, I don't know. I guess, you know, I'll use an adage from Chief Noble. If you weren't in the room and you didn't see it, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, I believe, for the most part, the military is still running the government on direction of the commander-in-chief. They go to him with options, just like a normal, everyday, you know, presidency. But at any point in time, if the military doesn't believe that that's the right course of action, there are legal safeguards for the admirals and generals that serve on the Joint Chiefs and their staffers and everybody below that, because the president hasn't come out and said the insurrection has been squashed, or whatever the exact terminology is in the Constitution for the Insurrection Act. That statement hasn't been done. And that's why I believe that, you know, recommendations have been going to cabinet members for, along with COG, is with this, for them to step down. You know, and if I put myself in their shoes, right, because I miss, one, not being in the military, two, not being in the intelligence community, not because I wanted to know everything, it's just, it's in your DNA. Like, you got somebody who loves working on cars. That's all they want to do. Well, you know, mine was intelligence gathering, doing graphic analysis, doing all that stuff. So I'm sure some of these people are taking it kind of hard. But, another thing that, you know, Trump extended this ceasefire for like the 30th time. And I think this is all to get certain assets in position. Getting certain assets out of position, meaning Special Operations Command. Because, I mean, Trump put out a thing to the Iranian people. I believe it was earlier today. So, and I believe you have some warring factions within the IRGC, within what's left of the Iranian government. And like I said, the NSA, all the intelligence agency, whether it be SIGINT, HUMINT, ACINT, they're trying to map out the leaderships. And I believe that we are working very closely with the Shah's grandson to set a course because, even though he hasn't lived in Iraq, he is a descendant. So it's better for it to come, anything coming from him than from our government. Okay, and I've told people hundreds of times on numerous streams, Islamic people that live in the Middle East, and this is worldwide, but we'll focus on the Middle East. They don't have problems with Americans. They like Americans. They have a problem with our government. And the past promises that our government has given to these people and our government hasn't fulfilled. And some of it also, most of it derives that when Israel farts, we're there with fucking dude wipes to make sure that they're clean. And I think a lot of that, possibly, that some of these Arab nations have been bitching about is probably true. And I think that's why, in those posts it says save Israel for last. Oh, another person that's, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but Mike Huckabee got recalled from Israel. He's no longer going to be the ambassador. I don't know if that's broke yet, but I was told that this morning as well. That there was a meeting late last night where Marco Rubio said he was going to recall Mike Huckabee. I don't think he's as clean as everybody thinks he is as well. And then with the Secretary of Navy, I was told Hegseth was firing. Okay? And that possibly what their internal thinking is because of the polygraph that came back at the meeting. And that's why he got doused, because there was some questions on what the answers to some questions that he gave. And then I don't know if you guys heard this or not. So there was an incident at the White House where they had to usher out all the reporters. And I was told I haven't looked at it, and this person has no reason to BS me. They actually put Trump in the beast during this security issue. Which is odd. So I sent a text message after I heard this to Big Chair, and he hasn't said anything. Because there are areas inside the White House and outside of the White House that he can be moved to, the principal. Why they chose the beast, I'm thinking, is because in case they had to move him quick, he was already there. I mean, the guy is 75, 77. Shit, he moves better than I do. So, let's see. There was something else that had come up. Jeff. Let's see here. Let me. Yeah, there was something, Miss Lily, that I got last night, that there was going to be some type of an emergency meeting with the U.S. Supreme Court. And I think it has something to do with the 2020. And that there was somebody from the Navy Yard there, so I'm thinking it was probably a JAG. Yeah, there is a lot happening, but if you talk to other people, they're like, nothing's happening. Nothing's ever going to happen. I don't know how I'm down to 11 points. I must have got robbed sometime during a broadcast. Let's see. See if I can lose it all. Oh, look at that. Ain't that special? Yeah, I did see the James O'Keefe thing about the nuclear shit. That guy's fucked. Boo-barred. Done. And wasn't there sometime late last night or early today that some other scientist has come up missing? It's kind of weird. Yeah. Well, he's being more and more blatant about, I'll get into the Speaker of the House thing. I had heard that, and we'll classify it as a rumor, that the office of the Speaker of the House had arranged for Mobility Command for a flight for him to go over. And his office was instructed, no way in hell. It's not happening. Well, some of his staffers showed up at Andrews. And I don't think he is being read in on a lot of stuff. 17 points instead of 11, right? I don't think he's being read in on a lot of stuff. And I believe they are augmenting special forces within their security details because of the threat matrix that is happening right now. Because you guys got to remember, a lot of American people don't understand it. There's still a fatwa on Trump and his administration. And these zealots over there take that shit very seriously. Especially after you kill, their Ayatollah and half their leadership. So it's very, very, very interesting. Do you guys like that? What do you guys think of that scrolling merch window? I got to add some. I got to move them over to the new stuff that I put up on the website. I got to move that over to that Blade server so it automatically picks up anytime we do new stuff. It'll put up there. And for the people that ordered the shirts, the prints were done this afternoon, so they're getting them ready, and I got to get a hold of our processor because I'm changing the accounts that the deposits go in. So we can keep track of Yeah, some people wanted. Well, Craig did the bunk bed news or whatever. Such a clown. Yeah, so we'll probably do that. Uh, so I think that thing is pretty neat. That scrolling, and then I'm working on getting most of this stuff is all Liberties merchandise. I'm prioritizing his stuff first, So with all the stuff going on with Tammy and Mike had some issues within his family, so you have to take a break from it. Me, I mean, I basically I work for myself. I'm retired, so I need something to do, and I find doing this so damn intriguing. Conversating with you guys. Yeah, he hasn't had any in I think 2 weeks. Just because Tammy, she's having family health issues. Mike is he working a lot, and it gets draining. And I'm not quite sure if Mike is on board with, have patience type thing. Shit's happening, and I get it. Everybody wants to see something mobilized, but it took us 250 years to get it this fucked up. It's going to take us more than 3 hours to get it fixed, and we only have one shot at it. Yeah, and they should. I can remember when I was going to grade school, first thing in the morning you did the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, they sent me the link, so that'll for colas that'll be a shit show. It always is. It's fun. Hopefully, Craig will be on in Yorga. Honestly, I think this is why Trump's doing this. I find it funny that May 17th, he's doing the National Day of Prayer. I mean, why would you select that date? There's something to it. I think we need it. Whether you believe or don't believe, whether you believe in, your commuter or your cell phone is your deity, or whether you believe in Jesus Christ, Buddha, Prophet Muhammad, whatever. I think this country, look, we are a nation found on Christianity values, period, full stop. If you don't like it, there are flights leaving this country every fucking minute. Pack your shit. And then you will realize how good you got it here. Because trust me, I've been to some fucking shitholes in the world that how much we take for granted. And, when, as my grandparents would say, when you get too big for your britches, I always go back and remember that. I don't live a lavish lifestyle. I have assets, but my grandparents, taught me from a very young age. Because when we were young, our grandparents had a very huge farm. We knew our grandparents had money, but you never would know it. My grandmother, on the other hand, she was a very, very classy dresser. My grandfather, blue jeans t-shirt. He would go to a restaurant, and this is where I get it from, where I fuck with people, right? You know, they would go to a restaurant or whatever when it was a big deal. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid, it was a treat to go to like McDonald's or something. It was, I mean, that was a big deal. Now it's just commonplace, right? But I can remember, you know, when we were growing up, whether it was just me or whether it was my brothers and sisters that were, you know, with my mom's parents, my grandfather would always, you know, screw around with people, like the people that worked there, like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay for all this. Do you have any dishes to wash? And I get that from him, and it pisses my mother off. Because, like, today in the VA, when the doc called me, and I got up, and he came out and he was talking to me and telling me his name and what he's going to do. And I said, so is this the part of the show where I undress? And my mom is just so embarrassed, and she's just like shaking her head like, what the hell are you doing? That's what out of everything, that's what really irks my mother, because she remembers her dad doing that, and it used to really tick her off. Here's the other thing that I noticed. When they did this evacuation at the White House today, why? Because and maybe it's happened before, but now I'm looking at more stuff, right? I'm looking for items that shouldn't be there. And Caroline Levitt come out and came to the podium outside near the roundabout. Why did she have a Secret Service detail with her? And you can clearly see it's Secret Service because they have a Secret Service lapel pin. And then, to the left of that agent, on the opposite side of her, you had what I believe is a pipe hitter. Somebody who's been augmented to the White House from Special Operations Command. Reason I don't know, or the reason I believe he's out of place, he shouldn't be there, is because I know from experience, the moment you step out of the White House, your badge and your credentials are put away. He didn't do it. You didn't see anybody from the White House ground security team telling him to put it away. He was almost like person non grata, whatever the hell the exact nomenclature is for it. So that's the kind of stuff I look at when I see that, kind of like with Nancy Pelosi, with the U.S. Marshal that basically told the third most powerful person in the world, do not answer any questions, do not take any questions. And she clearly said, live on camera, don't worry, I will not. You don't have an agent telling a principal shit. They don't even talk unless they need to tell them, you know, we're scooping you to get you the fuck out of Dodge. So I do, and with Kash Patel coming out and saying 2020 hookups are going to happen. It wasn't we got to look at the evidence. It's not deferring to justice. It's happening. And you have to keep in mind, who did Kash Patel work for? Kash Patel was a staffer an elite aide for Devin Nunes. So, this is going to get very interesting. And like I said, I think this is why Trump's doing this National Day of Prayer for people who want to listen, right? I don't think it's for any type of psyop. I believe this is what he wants to do. To get people prepared. Whether you believe in God or not, is to get people prepared for what they're about ready to see. Just in our city. Okay, I was talking to one of the deputy sheriffs in our township. Over the last 3 weeks, they have found 58 kids that were missing. How is that happening all of a sudden? I'm very glad that it's happening, but it's becoming more, it's almost like it's non-taboo anymore. And that's why I believe they're calling for this National Day of Prayer, to not only get himself prepared, because I think there are going to be some extremely hard decisions that he's going to have to make. And I think it's probably to ease him and to ease people that will listen to him. Not necessarily like him or believe in what he's doing, but to listen to him. Because I think the next few months, because remember those posts as a hot summer and a nuclear winter. And, we're getting close to the midterms, and I'm not fully convinced that those are going to happen. Because with Thune blocking the Save America Act, I believe that's all coordinated, whether it's by the administration or why it's the military, the judge advocate, and general corps, is for Trump to produce these executive orders. So it doesn't damage the country as much as if he do it now. But I am going to grab a beverage and some fruit mix. So let me get a couple things up here. Let's get yes, I'm still here. Get the EAMs up, because I think it's been 2 days since we had that huge mass. Normally it's 48 to 72 hours from a big burst of EAMs to you start seeing the actions of those EAMs. Let's see here. Let's get these two frequencies up. And I haven't checked, but I know there was a couple copies that were bought. I appreciate that. I'll get your guys' name added to the reverse grifting list. And let me get I've been trying to find a good frequency for the VOA, Voice of America. Or the Armed Forces Network.
Mr. Orban, whose outgoing government kept close ties with Russia, claims the stoppage was political rather than technical and lodged a temporary veto on the EU loan. But after Ukraine President Zelensky announced on Tuesday night that the pipeline has been
Okay, I'll be
EU
back in a
ambassadors
few
gathered
minutes
and
here.
nodded the cash through. So the oil, it appears, is starting to flow, and bar any last-minute hiccups, soon the money will too. The former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has warned that companies are hiring fewer people because of their use of artificial intelligence. He told BBC's Newsnight that businesses believe they could continue to grow without taking on more staff, and that younger workers were likely to be most effective. He said almost all jobs would change because of AI. Mr. Sunak was speaking to our economics editor, Faisal Islam.
While fears about the impact of technology are nothing new, Rishi Sunak said that the speed and sheer power of the latest AI models meant it was different this time. And he said widespread concerns about entry-level jobs in law, accounting and creative industries were justified. Mr. Sunak, who is now an advisor to the AI giant Anthropic, explained to BBC Newsnight that leading CEOs were privately talking about what they called flat recruitment.
What I hear a lot from them is flat is the new up. And they're talking about this concept that they think that they can continue to grow their businesses without having to, significantly increase employment because they're starting to see how they can deploy AI. So I think we do have to look at this issue, I think, very seriously and with purpose.
The former Chancellor floated the radical step of eventually eliminating all jobs taxes, employers and employees' national insurance, and refocusing the tax base on companies' profits, which he says would have benefited from AI efficiencies. He said it would be necessary to tip the scale towards using AI to enhance existing workers' jobs rather than simply replacing human workers to help manage the transition in the economy.
3 companies in England are being investigated on suspicion of fraudulently claiming more than £40 million from a government energy efficiency scheme. 4 people have been arrested and a number of properties searched in an operation led by the Serious Fraud Office. Correspondent Zoe Conway reports.
It was 7 o'clock this morning in Cannock in Staffordshire that Serious Fraud Office investigators put on stab vests and raided the office of a company suspected of being part of what the SFO is calling a sophisticated conspiracy. It suspects 3 companies fraudulently claimed £44 million of public money from a government insulation scheme known as Eco.
Alright, I'm back. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to
and help reduce carbon emissions. The companies are alleged to have
shove this in my pie hole.
no work was undertaken. The lead investigator is Ross Corrigan.
We've got in excess of 100 investigators deployed in several counties to execute search warrants and conduct arrests. That's because we suspect that this is a sophisticated and potentially systemic fraud within the government's Eco4 scheme, which is designed to help people in fuel poverty. And yet here we have suspected criminality which might have exploited, that good cause.
There's mounting concern amongst MPs and campaigners of widespread fraud within Eco4, which began in 2022 and which the government has now closed. Last year, the regulator Ofgem said that up to
Yeah, that's nuts, Baz. We had covered that. It's interesting.
In recent
Hey,
years,
David,
the
how are
BBC
you?
has been reporting that some of the work to install the insulation has been of such low quality it led to damp and mould and put people's health at risk.
Here we go. What Joe Carroll put in there. Why all of a sudden are all these plants having issues?
Causing the death of Taryn Baird, who died in 2017. Our correspondent Duncan Kennedy was at Winchester Crown Court.
Christopher Tribus, who's 44, came to Britain with Taryn Baird from their home in South Africa. The prosecution claimed that he had subjected her to prolonged sexual and other abuse at their home in Swindon. It was alleged he was so controlling and coercive, Taryn Baird was driven to take her own life in 2017. Christopher Tribus was charged with her manslaughter. Had he been found guilty, it would have been the first case in an English court where a jury convicted an abuser of causing the death of someone who took their own life. But Mr. Tribus denied any abuse and was today cleared of manslaughter and 3 other charges, including of rape. After the verdict, he spoke of his relief. He said that domestic abuse was a very real and serious issue and victims must always be supported. Earlier this month, in the first prosecution of its kind in Scotland, Lee Milne was sentenced for culpable homicide, Scotland's equivalent of manslaughter. The jury found him responsible, even though his wife had jumped to her death.
Police investigating an alleged conspiracy to target the Jewish community in London with an arson attack have made 2 more arrests. A man aged 19 and another aged 26 were detained in Watford. Scotland Yard said 9 people in total had now been taken into custody by counter-terrorism officers in relation to the alleged plot. Scientists are warning that climate change has extended the hay fever season by up to 2 weeks longer than it would have been in the 1990s.
I did not know that.
Research published in the Lancet Public Health Journal also found that rising temperatures have caused a higher risk
That's interesting.
death, food insecurity and drought.
Hung Call.
As our health correspondent Dominic Hughes explains.
That's interesting.
Around 1 in 5 people will be familiar with the itchy eyes, sneezing, runny nose and headache associated with a pollen allergy, known more commonly as hay fever. On warm, dry, windy days, pollen, mostly from grass and trees, is spread through the air. In Europe, this is usually between late March and September. But now scientists say that climate change is shifting the flowering season of plants that release allergenic pollen. When researchers looked at the timing and intensity of the birch, alder and olive tree pollen season, they found it was starting 1 to 2 weeks earlier than previous studies in the 1990s. And it's not just hay fever. The report focuses on the broader impact of climate change on health in Europe. And according to Professor Joachim Rockloff from the University of Heidelberg, there are clear signs that a warming climate presents real dangers.
What we see in the report is that we have about a doubling of deaths from heat, and we have 300% increase in the days when extreme heat levels hit populations and deaths go up. So we see very strong patterns in this report.
The report
very
heat-borne diseases and worse air pollution is placing the health of millions of people at risk, not in a distant future, but today.
The Supreme Court has ruled that a woman cannot reverse her adoption of 2 sisters, saying it would go against the long-held principle that the process is final and permanent. The woman had made it clear that she had not rejected the children, who are now 18 and 19. She said it was what they wanted after assumed contact with their birth mother. A 6-year-old girl who had no vision in low light and limited sight in daylight has had her vision restored thanks to a pioneering gene therapy.
Behind every small business are the people who make them go. But sometimes the hardest part is making sure
Yeah, I'm putting on this feed about
with email, SMS, social, and AI tools. Try it for free at ConstantContact.com.
Back up just a pinch. I gotta get through there. All Division 4 has been replaced. New divisions in there. We're all headed back. That's a good copy. Anchor 25 to command. Go ahead. Anchor 25 is going to be on location at the airport. That's a good copy. That's it. 4 command. Here's 2603 to Division 4 Command. Do you advise for us to clear up from here and head back to IC? That's 10-4. 10-4, we're clear, backing out to IC.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the link for Cola's channel. Because that's always interesting. That show is always fun. That way, for you guys that don't have it or don't know about that channel, she is the keeper. She's the keeper of the notebook. Yeah, so she had a Secret Service agent, and then she had what I believe is a pipe hitter, special operations guy, next to her as well. And it could be just because of the threats that cabinet officials are getting. Let's see, Cola. This will be the link for Cola's. Mike Huckabee has been recalled as the ambassador by the State Department, so who knows what that's about. Let me make sure, let me get that. Let me put that. This is for Cola's tonight. And that starts at 9 o'clock Eastern time, so about an hour and 25 minutes. Let's see. See if there's anything on this Fed app that I get notifications on that have popped up. Yeah, I'll be glad once we break 500 subscribers again. So if you guys could like, share, subscribe, do whatever. Oh yeah, I missed him too. I wish she would. Hopefully she's doing well and whatever. Like I said, a lot of people, they just have to step away. It gets to be too much, all the daily stuff. You know, but I'm used to it just because of the business I was in. Let's see. Boy, this emergency radio for that northern Georgia. Boy, it's kind of quiet for everything that's going on down there. Yeah, here's that article. Virginia voters pass the congressional gerrymandering map, expected to give 10 seats to Democrats and only 1 to Republicans. Now, it says this. It says Florida must step in. There's a special session. Telling you, I think all of this is setting up for this emergency, national security emergency executive order. So there was a drone attack in Erbil, which is in northern Iraq. The attack was at the headquarters of the Kamala organization, Komala, in Sirna, Erbil. Wanted to spell it because I didn't want people to think that Kamala was running an operation inside of Iraq. Wouldn't that be some shit? All right. So this has come in. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum told reporters Wednesday that the Mexican military was unaware of the presence of U.S. agents who were reportedly died in a car accident during an anti-drug operation in the state of Chihuahua. Yeah, I look at Telegram, but I do it for the language. I get into, some of the... Okay, so apparently this ceasefire is supposed to end Sunday, which is the same day that the Bush arrives. Yeah, and it is confirmed now that Pete Hegseth fired Secretary of the Navy. Laura Loomer lost her defamation lawsuit against Bill Maher, where Bill Maher said she was having a sexual relationship with Trump. These people are fucking disgusting. So, U.S. Appeals Court rules that Texas is allowed to require all public schools to display the Ten Commandments. Let's see if I can lose all mine. There we go. Now watch Gracie will come in and pick it all up. Alright, that ain't bad. We're up to 333 subscribers now. Ain't bad coming from zero.
command. Tanker 1, command. Command. Two and 23 is back at Stiller Grocery Station. Division 2 to all all units on calls. When y'all get done, head back to the airport. Go ahead. Landing engine safety. Landing truck 72 is going to be 10-8. We're heading home. Copy. Thank y'all very much. On the command. Go ahead, 31. I'm fixing to go back 10-8. I got to get home tonight. 10-4, 31, 10-8. Engine, 31.